a very deep caramel smell. It's a very, very, very sweet whiskey. Hello and welcome to Whisky.com, where fine spirits meet. And today we have the second Kentucky straight bourbon on the cask. And here we are talking about Buck Kentucky Straight Whiskey. Kentucky Straight Whiskey means it is produced in Kentucky. But again, here the bottler is Frank Lynn, and that's a company from California. But it has to be produced in Kentucky, otherwise you can't call it Kentucky Straight Bourbon. Kentucky Straight means you have to have it in the cask for at least 2 years. But here I think you do have an age statement of 8 years, 8 years old. So the straight is kind of, you have to have it. No, the straight is kind of meaningless because you have 8 years old, but it just sounds better. If you say Kentucky Straight Bourbon, that comes on really nicely. So you have an age statement whiskey of 8 years old. It's 45% ABV, means it's 90% proof. And what else do we have here? Range hand certified. What the hell is this? There's a nice story about rangers and cowboys behave by an unwritten set of rules that have come to be known collectively as the Code of the West. It's a nice story about how when you're a cowboy and you're in the Wild West and you somehow meet other cowboys or rangers on out on the fields around the campfire, then you definitely share your whiskey. So, and this whiskey is one of these whiskeys that you should share with your friends. Old-fashioned sour mash, and it's a small batch. So, yeah, enough said. A whiskey has to taste good, so let's taste it. It's a plastic cork, but nonetheless, it has a really nice color. And I can really say that because Kentucky Straight Bourbon is not colored. That's a really nice rule. So for the consumer to know, if you have a bourbon, then what you see is what you get. You get the color that the whiskey matured. Oh yeah, that's a very deep caramel smell. It's a very, very, very sweet whiskey. How does the sweetness get into the whiskey? We ask sometimes. Sweetness, on the one side, you have the corn that is very sweet. Bourbon has to be made of at least 51% corn. And usually they do 70% or some do 80%. And the other way how the whiskey gets sweet is you have the American white oak, and when the white oak gets toasted, that's not charred. Charred is the very, very, very top, but the toasting is when you heat the barrel and then all the wood sugars caramelize, and these caramelized wood sugars get dissolved in the whiskey. That gives it the color because caramel is dark, and it gives it the sweetness. So what other people do with artificial coloring, that's actually coloring and sweetening, the bourbon does it with natural wood sugars, and that's what gives this distinctive flavor to the bourbon. It's extraordinary much caramel in there. Do have a slight vanilla taste in there and a lot of sweetness, but it's like a creamy caramel candy treat. And that's how it tastes. You have the sweet sensation of a delicious caramel candy treat combined with a bit of that excitement, stinging from the 45% ABV, and it mixes quite well. Yeah, it's a really sweet one. You do get a bit of the wood flavors in the end. They're dominating the end. Do get a bit of a bitterness, a bit of a woody tone, a little bit of bittersweet chocolate. Yeah, it's a nice combination. You do get a bit of a peppery note in the middle and in the end. Not much, just a few tones on the side. A little bit of stinging chili, or maybe I'm confusing that with the alcohol. But it's nice, well-rounded whiskey. But again, like with the Black Saddle 12-year-old whiskey, it's more of an older whiskey. It starts off like a normal light bourbon, but it ends with more heavier tones, and it definitely has more flavor in it, because you can really taste the 8 years. So some people might say it's over the top. If you're a light bourbon fan, stick to your non-aged bourbons. If you like more of a kick, then go with something like 8 years, 12-year-old bourbon like the Bucks or the Black Saddle. So it's something different. It proves that you can have heavy tones in a bourbon as well. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. If you like to talk to me or Horst about whiskeys, then come to Whisky.com in the forum. You can register with 2 clicks with your Google account, and then you can just immediately start asking us questions, and we will answer them within about a day. So we are in this forum about every day, so we will answer all your questions or all your requests that you have. Thank you very much for watching.